Yeah, I'm on a walk, so I can't actually show you. This is gonna be a video where I'm gonna try to edit it, but I probably won't be able to. This is the fundamental issues with Dark Sky. There's that video. I know I've been trying to get it out to you. I filmed it a week ago, October 23rd. Today's the 30th. And if you're wondering why it still hasn't been published, I'm just busy and I really don't have enough time to edit. These kinds of videos, for example, would be better if I edit that, but that one I really want to be able to edit for the time change, but I don't know if I'm going to have enough time to do so. I have a fair amount of homework to do. Anyway, one thing I want to talk about is the fundamental issues with Dark Sky. Because as much as I like to use them as a source, there are some fundamental issues. Also, I swear I'm freezing out here. It's actually about 60 degrees, which is, it's going to actually warm up a bit. So you're like, okay, 60 degrees, warmer than normal. Well, it's actually not warmer than normal, but it's going to get to that. And the low wasn't that low either. It was 54 degrees. I actually do something in a marching band at that point. So, that video I meant to push out. I filmed it yesterday, October 20th. Yeah, that video is going to come out October 30th as well. I was doing a performance last night. It was dark out though. We were out there for 40 minutes. We didn't have gloves. So it began to start to feel like it was getting to about 15-degree levels by the time we got back. And that was for the start of the matter. By the time we actually did the real performance, well, you were moving and you weren't outside for as long. And when we left, I had a disturbing view of the rain blowing sideways. Now, of course, I couldn't take out my phone to take a picture of it. Otherwise, I would edit that in here. But yeah. But anyway, going on to the fundamental issues with Dark Sky. Because generally, they're a pretty reliable, credible source, and I generally like them. But in my opinion, there are some flaws. So, when you measure a hurricane's wind speed, it measures from 5,000 feet or 1.5 kilometers up. Where the higher up you go, the more wind you have. That's facts. But, for example, with Ida and Grand Isle, Apple Weather recorded a ground level wind of 111 miles an hour. So how come Dark Sky said it only got to 75? Well, Dark Sky, on top of having problems measuring how strong wind is, their time machine only goes hour by hour. So if conditions can't maintain themselves for a full hour, they won't show. This is why for temperatures, for example, now, during that 82-degree heat burst on March 26th, the second warmest it got in New York City, and one of the warmest it got here in March, where temperatures got to over 30 degrees above average. Now, this was during a heat burst, meaning that the conditions would be only temporary. Now, I think my Apple phone might have measured 79. I'm not sure if I was checking. I know Dark Sky got 79, so how come now they're only saying 76? They're saying 76 because it only maintained itself, the hourly high temperatures maintain itself at 76. How do I know the heat burst? Well, the dew point also dropped from being in the upper 50s into the upper 40s. And the wind speeds of 28 miles an hour with gusts of 44 miles an hour definitely put the nail in the coffin. A cold front, though, immediately came through the squash, so it was a dry cold front, pushing temperatures back to what they were in the morning to about 50 degrees. It was actually 49 degrees. The problems with Dark Sky, sometimes they tend to underestimate things because in a time machine, it has to go out by hour. For example, they say on June 7th, it only got to 86 degrees. The Weather Channel said it got to 87. Why is this, you might ask? Well, because Dark Sky hourly winds only picked up a measurement of 85. Well, Dark Sky actually does allow a degree of difference, but only 1 degree of difference. So it would push it up to 86 in this kind of a case. And actually for the one I'm also 6 actually was 75, but again they pushed it up. This also applies on the low temperature end, of course. For example, even though it got to 49 degrees on June 1st, the high of 76 isn't disputed, but the low is. Dark Sky says only got to 50. How come? Because their measurements only got down to 51 for an hour hourly sustained temperature. And while they do allow for a degree of difference, they don't allow for 2 degrees of difference. If we go by the weather channel, so it's been a 49, this would actually make it the last time until early on October 1st, so exactly 4 months, where the temperature failed to get below 50 degrees here. Otherwise, it would be on May 31st, which is only a 1 day difference, but it does affect the monthly low temperature, hence why it's so important, which again, weather channel saying it got to 68, dark sky only 66, because of the same thing. When your temperature goes up and down kind of rapidly, dark sky is going to have problems accounting for that, leading to more bland temperatures because of how dark sky unfortunately works. Overall, I do approve of dark sky. I do find them to be a useful source. Sometimes they can pick up on things that other sources can't, such as warm temperatures. So when someone calls it for being cold, and then it's like, well, and then dark sky says it's going to be warm during the summer, and it's warm, dark sky picked up on that. The others failed to. Now, one thing I also want to mention is the last times that we've gotten between temperature markings. So we're not going to do the 60s because that would be quite bland for failing to reach out on the cold end of everything. Well, we're going to do the cold end first. Then we're actually going to try the warm end. See how different this is. This is using data from the Weather Channel. So for example, sometimes dark sky measurements actually get too cocky. They said April 1st or 2nd, 1 or 2, it got down to 29 degrees. The Weather Channel, only 30. Because of this similar issue at hand, where sometimes it happens on this end, June 7th, oh, when I said June 6th, did I say June 6th? I meant June 8th. I'm an idiot. When it was June 8th, 7th, the Weather Channel said only got 83. Dark sky picked up 84 because they thought that there was a discrepancy in mine when there actually wasn't, which is why I love dark sky, but I'm going to use the Weather Channel more than I will use dark sky. Anyway, so during the summer, between July 5th, when it hit 59, and after Ida on September 3rd, which brought a cold front when it hit 57, it hit 57 once in between on July 30th. Now, I was actually in Florida. But don't worry, they experienced temperatures in the 50s because of some of the other camp trips I was on. Like when we went to New England, where while we were in Bangor, I think it got down to 57 as well. So, yeah, between that time, now, July 3rd also got to a low of 59. It actually only had a high of 63. It was very cold. One of the rare summer days, we actually failed to get even to the mid-60s, and it would be the coldest high temperature until sometime in mid-October. It was really cold for July. Now, so far we've failed to see, but we might see, is a Memorial Day kind of high where it only gets up to 52. Not Memorial Day weekend, May 29th and 30th. Where again, you had your lows of 47, which wasn't too abnormal, but the high temperature of 52 actually. We haven't seen a day where the high fails to get that low, though some of the models are projecting a similar type of day. Well, not on a low temperature, it's going to get colder, but on a high temperature one could happen. Anyway, one thing that is also important to note is, so we know we've talked to the 50s. Now, what about the 40s? Well, if we use the Weather Channel, they just say it got down to 49 on June 1st, but then all you need in late May, early June to warm you right back up is a bright and sunny day. Memorial Day got down to 48. The reason why it only got to 68 during the day was because there were a few clouds. But June 1st was bright and really totally sunny. Hence, June 1st got to a high of 76. The temperatures begin to close in on each other, and oh look, you're in the 90s just a few days later. See how wonderful June works like that? What happens what happened is that from there, you don't really hit it, and a lot of people are saying on December 30th, where it got kind of cool, that it might actually go into the 40s. It actually, the Weather Channel is saying it got to 47 on December 30th, but we're not going to use, but I do like to use dark sky when it's within the month. The reason why, well, the Weather Channel, and on November 1st, and 2nd, we'll see them totally iron everything out by November 2nd, which is only in 3 days, which is kind of cool. Yes, if you're wondering, I am on a busy road. What's eventually going to happen is that they're going to iron everything out. They're going to find out it's supposed to be on this day rather than that day, and they're going to shuffle everything around, make everything, make everything better, make everything more efficiently clean. And, dark sky saying it got to 49. From there, it didn't appear itself until the 17th. It did that on the 18th as well. And it's kind of just like, again, it's getting colder. Now, what about the 30s? Well, we haven't hit the 30s so far. That might happen within the next 10 days. But as we know, projections can be off. They have been off multiple times. From roughly, even only 6 days before August 27th happened on August 21st, the projection was saying it'll be a relatively cool day with a high of 82. That's when actually the warmest day of the year with a high of 93, and oh god, I'm cold. I really am. Now, what winds up happening is that sometimes things can come in that they don't project, where, sometimes it can all of a sudden warm up for a bit. That's what happened, because the day where the last time we got to the 70s, we hit 72 or 73 degrees on October 25th, which was actually only a few days ago. So we're supposed to only get to 55. But there was a nor'easter coming in, which temporarily boosted temperatures, even though before they got into like 43 degrees, 44 degrees, something like that. What happened was that the high got to about, like 60 or so, and then they actually plateaued off. Basically, all our days now are still managing in the 60s. Only a few of them are staying in the 50s, so it is becoming more common. I think before today, the 26th was the last day to hit 60, and that's what's going to actually wind up happening as we go deeper into the winter. But yeah, the last time it got into the 30s was April 23rd. There was a cold front on April 21st. It spawned 2 tornadoes, one in Anemia, New York, and one in Kent, Connecticut. 2 tornadoes. And this is a pretty big cold front, where it was already starting to cool off, and you only had a high of 60, which is lower compared to previous days. The front came in. According to Dark Sky, when it began, it was 58 degrees. When it ended, it was 49. By midnight, the temperature plummeted to 39. They would hit 35 in the morning, and only get up to 48, making it the last time that it failed to get into the 50s for a day. Something that, again, could repeat in the next couple of days, though I'm not so sure about this one. April 23rd also had a cool night with a low of 39 before it finally warmed up to high of 63, which is, again, slightly above normal, and it would help it to become a bit above normal, but April was only slightly warmer than average. Last time it was the 20s. I think this was actually March 22nd. Basically, this was an extreme temperature day. You had a high of 56 and a low of 26 because as the polar vortex was coming out, warmer air was coming in, and this all happened out in one day. Sometimes when you have a more long-lasting cold front, the temperature difference is actually going to be very small across one day. But when it warms up, sometimes you have a really big temperature gap across one day as the warmer temperatures are trying to filter in. And that's what's so interesting about the weather. Now, the last time that got into the teens, I think, was February 19th. Not 19th. Sometime in the week of February 12th to 19th. I don't know exactly when. And honestly, it's so cold, I don't even want to think about it.